Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I know what it is. This table is larger than my other table at home, and so when I lift my arms up or something, I keep hitting myself into the table. Hope everyone is doing okay. It's a 3 p.m. show. I have another one after this one that I absolutely know. In fact, if I'm being honest, I have like a list of shows that I want to do. So let's move the show along. Let me check my volume to make sure the world is good on this front. And it is indeed good, and there have been no mic drops. Perfect. Yeah, hope everybody's doing great today. Please feel free to subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you're a watcher of the show. That will be very much appreciated. We've hit 10,000. We're trying to plan something for the 10,000. My wife took me out saying for a congratulations gift. So I didn't take her up on the offer. Like, she thought it was going to be somewhere big. It was a minor restaurant. It was like an Asian restaurant over here. And she's like, well, do you want me to buy you something? And I was like, yeah, that's not really anything I want per se. And then later on I was like, oh, I know what I want. I know what I want. So one of the markets that I was at, they have crabs here in the States, in Virginia. Virginia is a big place for crabs. I would say they taste better than what they do in Baltimore, but Baltimore tries to say that they're better. Baltimore can go fuck itself. Virginia crabs are best. But that being said, those Virginia crabs, they've just come into season. And I love crabs. My mom raised me on those things. And because she's raised me on those things, I love them. Salt, pepper, and beer. Oh, man, they're amazing. $30 for 12. I was like, oh, God. I think I made a verbal, oh, that hurts. And the woman was like, they just come in seasons. And I was like, I could get my wife to buy these. I could buy these and she can reimburse me for the money. And then I thought, no, I know. There's a game called Civ. This is a lot of wood. I'm sorry. I'll cut this out. When I put this up, I'll cut this out because this is fucking weeds. There's a game called Civilization on Xbox. I love that game. I love that game. It hits my heart center like nobody else. I love that game. When you start off as cavemen and you build your civilization to this kind of space civilization. I love that game. And I would drag my wife to play that game anytime we got the opportunity, but that game takes like 8 hours to play. I shit you not, because you're going from the beginning of civilization on. I love the game. And because I love the game and she plays the game, she doesn't love the game. And so there's a difference in the energy level of the people who are playing that game. In one of the games, I had a spy go to her country and take away Frederick Douglass. I was playing as America. I always play as America. Steal Frederick Douglass. And I hear her downstairs angry that I've stolen Frederick Douglass and dragged him to my country. And at that point, she never wanted to play again. She never wanted to play. If I am not mistaken, she used her military to attack my country. And I'm like, what the fuck? How are you attacking me? I have a nuclear bomb. I can obliterate you. If you weren't for my girlfriend and my wife, I would have destroyed your civilization. Yeah, I love the game. So I said, hey, we can download the game and we can play it on the thing. And that would be a gift for my 10,000 thing. So she has agreed to do that tonight. That is going to take place today. So my wife, Hollingsworth, has agreed to play Civilization again. So that is my gift for hitting 10,000. I don't want you to buy me anything. I want you to play that game. So now let's get on to the poll. I have certain conflicts. I struggle. There's certain struggles that I have when I do this task, this position. Now, as a human being, any human being that's doing a job, that human being has immediately stepped down from a certain amount of divinity from the standpoint of all the things that he can think about and all the things he could do within this physical matter reality space with this avatar. He steps down from that level of divinity and turns himself into a tool, some kind of instrument, whatever it is. Even if he chooses to do the job himself. If he's digging in the lawn, he's digging in the lawn. His body is turned into a tool. He becomes that tool to accomplish that particular goal. But he's still a human being. There's still a human element in the tool. When he's working at a factory, working at a corporation, he's paid to do a task. And paid to do a task, he's become a tool of the person who's paying them to do that task. He's an instrument of somebody else. There's still a human element to that instrument, though. He's doing that task, maybe bitching and moaning, but he's still doing that task. There's a human element there, screaming to get out. Same thing if the person is doing the job himself, meaning me. I chose to do this task. I chose to get on TV or to get on YouTube and make a show. And I enjoy making the show. And I have a certain perspective, and I wanted the world to see that particular perspective. But even having that particular perspective is saying I'm going to give that perspective to the world. I still have things in my head where I want. Incentives, your wants. What are the things that you actually want? Versus, what is the job that you've taken on to do? And is there a conflict in those things? Meaning, is there a societal impact to you being a tool? And do you, as a human element living in that society, pay no mind to the societal impact as you're doing your job as a tool? In my case, in this job as a tool to report what I see in my perspective of the world, I still have certain things that I don't necessarily think run contrary, but they are still in the background. I don't like Donald Trump. It's very clear I don't like Donald Trump. I've made that abundantly clear. Donald Trump has done some horrible and disastrous things in the time that he's been in office. They've been an extension of the prior president, yes. And the fact is, because the Democratic Party has moved so far to the right, Republicans have become more gross. It's like the football game where you have a side has ceded 20 yards. Just, fuck it. We don't even want to even guard those yardage. And the other party says, okay, well, we will take up to the degree to which you decided that you no longer wanted to guard. And so they've become more rapacious, more repugnant, more after workers than ever before in history. They're terrifying. Like I said, they don't even consider the conservatives in London to be real conservatives. So in this capacity, I don't like Trump. He's done some horrible things. And this is what I mean when I say horrible things. To give more to my reasoning for why I don't particularly like the guy. Do you remember the speech? Donald Trump gets in office saying he's going to be more conciliatory towards Russia and other nations and everything else. He wants to focus on America, etc., etc., etc. Do you remember the part of the speech at the United Nations?
We must uphold respect for law, respect for borders, and respect for culture, and the peaceful engagement these allow. And just as the founders of this body intended, we must work together and confront together those who threaten us with chaos, turmoil, and terror. The scourge of our planet today is a small group of rogue regimes that violate every principle on which the United Nations is based. They respect neither their own citizens nor the sovereign rights of their countries. If the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, then evil will triumph. When decent people and nations become bystanders to history, the forces of destruction only gather power and strength. No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. We were all witness to the regime's deadly abuse when an innocent American college student, Otto Warmbier, was returned to America only to die a few days later. We saw it in the assassination of the dictator's brother using banned nerve agents in an international airport. We know it kidnapped a sweet 13-year-old Japanese girl from a beach in her own country to enslave her as a language tutor for North Korea's spies. If this is not twisted enough, now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience. But if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for.
I'm glad he foibled that first part when he tried to say United Nations, because Donald Trump should have caught on fire as he's talking right there. I get animatedly upset when I hear stuff like this. It's just a back-breaking level of hypocrisy. That's all. I don't see how. It blows me away that a person, any human being, can stand up there and say things that are so demonstratively out of context. Like if you were an alien from another planet and you were sitting here watching what Donald Trump said, you would be like, wow, the guy he's talking about is fucking miserable. And then you whisper in his ear, maybe a delegation from somewhere, where they say, hey, you understand that the United States has done this, 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 and this. And the countries that the United States have worked with has done this, 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 and this. And that the reason why North Korea is behaving to some degree in some of the way that it's behaving is because the alien would like, okay. He would not understand that, like one country who has all of these blemishes on his record, recent blemishes. He's standing in the well of the United Nations after unilaterally destroying another country, killing 1 million people, and unilaterally making a decision to itself to go into one country after the next. Standing in the well of the United Nations, condemning another country as if he has a moral standing to do so. You have a porn star who's out there screaming about you sexually, or at the very least having sex with her, and then intimidating afterwards to shut up. You have no moral integrity to put your finger at some other country in this way. I mean, there's a massive amount of hypocrisy. I mean, come on. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. But he's up there doing this. And he's calling the man Rocket Man and everything else, calling it a regime. It's a country. I love the fact that he missed United the first time he said it. Because in the moment that he's saying United, he is at the exact same time talking about unilaterally destroying another country. Understand the quantity to which you're dealing with. This is an amazing thing for somebody to say, and to say with a straight face. Let's keep going. There's more. There's more. There's more. This. And these will go a little faster. And by the way, in that speech, he also goes after Iran in this. He brought up John Bolton. John Bolton, in one of the interviews with Tucker Carlson, talking about another axis of destruction using North Korea, Iran, and it was some other country that he added into the mix of this stuff. These people are maniacs. He surrounded himself with maniacs. Trump says he will put United States military on the southern border. Yeah, because that's exactly where we need the military to be. Trump opens national parks and wild refuges for coal mining. Because coal mining is the energy of the future. That's exactly what needs to take place. Porn star. During our affair, Trump said I reminded him of Ivanka. Because he's such a classy fucking guy. Here's how Trump's tax plan would raise taxes on many middle-class families. They're putting all that on the backs of us, of everybody else, the 99%. Get ready for Space Force. Missions to Mars very soon. Donald Trump talking about a Space Force. And then we get to this. Half of voters approve of Trump's job performance. Half of voters approve of Trump's job performance. A poll. We get to that. I could have had a bunch of negative shit going 80 browsers long. I didn't have to. I just wanted to make a point. And then we get to this. I don't like Trump. I don't like him at all. When I cover a story and it seems that I'm being nice to something that Donald Trump is doing, it's only because I'm covering what Donald Trump is doing that falls in line with my value system. That's it. It's just trying to be honest and an approval or giving my honest opinion of what's taking place. If I like something, I say I like it. If I dislike it, I say I dislike it. I take out the personalities. I don't care. I mean, if Obama is doing something I dislike it. If a bunch of stuff is taking place and people are lying about it, why do I need to lie about it? In this case, I dislike Donald Trump. I'm aware that I dislike Donald Trump, even when I do stories that is favorable to someone Donald Trump. If he kills the Trans-Pacific Partnership, good fucking job. I hate the Trans-Pacific Partnership, so I like the fact that he did it. That does not make me like Donald Trump one iota more. Now, there is one thing, though. I am perfectly okay with using Donald Trump to club the shit out of Democrats on positive things that he does. Meaning, if he's pulling troops out of Syria, good job. I need to see him do it, but if he does it, great. I want less hostility with Russia. If he's confronting this Russia nonsense, he's actually confronting the Russian nonsense, great. Hiring Joe Giovanna, great. Hiring John Bolton, no. I'm just looking at it issue by issue and making a determination of what I like versus what I dislike without necessarily saying I have any kind of political loyalties, because I have no dog in this hunt. I literally have no political loyalties to this, other than I have a certain value system that I want to see espoused upon the world. If that means a new party, great. If that means that there's a candidate that springs up that I think represents my interests, great. Otherwise, I would prefer to just be above it all. I say that to say, despite all that being true, I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing that. In the same way that I want Trump to beat and club the shit out of Democrats, I kind of want Democrats to also beat and club the shit out of Donald Trump. I dislike both. I say neither. I don't want either one. Both of these edifices need to fall. Both of these edifices need to be torn apart. They do not represent the interests of the people who put them into that office. So the last thing I want to see is Donald Trump with a 50% poll rating. And there is some caveat to this. This is a Rasmussen poll, which Rasmussen tends to be more conservative. But even going by CNN polls, he's trending upward. Let's take a look at this. Half of U.S. voters said they approve of President Trump's President Trump's done in office, according to Rasmussen's daily presidential tracking poll on Monday. The survey found 50% of likely voters polled said they approved of Trump's job performance, while 49% of voters said they disapprove. The poll found 33% said they strongly approved of Trump's performance as president, while 39% said they strongly disapprove. According to Rasmussen, the poll put Donald Trump ahead of where President Obama was at this stage in his presidency. It comes a week after CNN reported that Trump had reached his highest approval rating of more than a year at 42%. However, 54% polled said they disapprove of his job he's done in office. The survey follows a series of shakeups within the President Trump's administration, would have seen departures from Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, former Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin, and former National Secretary of Advisor McMaster. Trump has also been the subject of claims that he has multiple extramarital affairs around 2006. Look, the point that they're making is, of all the things that have befallen this president, one thing after the next, Trump had sex with a porn star. Half of voters didn't care. Russia hacked us. Russia worked with Trump. Vladimir Putin has some kind of boyish attraction to Vladimir Putin, to Donald Trump. All this stuff. All this weird stuff. Everything they threw at him. At the end of the day, whether you're talking about Rasmussen or whether you're talking about CNN, his numbers tracked up. Your Russia stuff is not sticking. Look, I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. But as a former Democrat, you could say, as somebody who at one point did vote Democrat, I'm looking for something, I am going to have a bit of advice. And I think the bit of advice is fair, and I think the bit of advice is helpful. Abandon ship. Abandon ship. What you're doing is not working. You have screamed Trump in Russia, Trump in Russia, Trump in Russia for the last 2 years. You have had media coordinate this Trump in Russia with you for the last 2 years. It's not working. The public does not believe you. You've lost your left. You've lost your base. I'm sorry to break this to you. You've lost your base. And a large part of your base is screaming at the top of their lungs that this Trump Russia nonsense is senseless. And not just screaming at the top of their lungs, screaming for something else. They're not buying it. They're not buying it. They think you're using this to obfuscate from your own failures and problems. And those people would be absolutely and correctly right. They would be perfectly right. They're not buying it. Here's the thing. Even though they may buy that Russia might have had something to do with it, you might have sunk that into their consciousness. They don't buy the loss. They don't think they don't care. They don't think it matters. They have other things that are affecting their day-to-day lives, not the goddamn Russians. It's not working. If what you were doing was working, this man would not be sitting at, let's use the CNN poll, 42% approval rating. He wasn't there when he got elected. He was somewhere else. He's moved up. He's trended up. The media has been against him. The political apparatus has been against him, meaning his own Republicans to some degree. And the Democratic Party has been against him. All of these people have been against him, and he is still strutting pretty with a 42% poll. And no, it's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but if you remember, Obama was barely able to get above 50%. I've shown you all of the gross shit that he's been doing in lieu of Trump had sex with a porn star. Look at this. Trump being a Russian bot. Trump and a Putin agent. Trump colluded with Russia. There's more. I could have ran these things 50 tabs long. And yet, we're still back to this. What you're doing is not working. I am giving my fellow Democrats a fair warning. I say this out of absolute kindness. What you're doing is not working. I'm trying to find an emblem for a Democrat. Let's find an emblem for a Democrat. I want to talk to me. There we go. There we are. What you're doing is not working, buddy. It's not working. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you out. I understand that you guys are in a particular direction and you guys are in a particular mindset and you don't want to have this honest engagement about why you lost, why you failed so bad, and why you continue to fail. You're screaming Russia and Trump at the top of your lungs, and I agree with you. You may win seats to some degree. Presidents tend to lose seats. But if you remember, Bill Clinton lost those seats, but Bill Clinton still won the presidency. It is very possible for Trump to lose certain areas, meaning his Congress, House, with him still retaining the presidency. The presidency is a vote all across the country. It's not a vote in localized areas. You can piss people off in localized areas and still lose the presidency. That's the point that I'm getting to you. The Trump-Russia nut stuff is not sticking. It's not sticking. Now, to go back to my audience for the moment. In a weird way, I don't like the Trump and Russia stuff. It's not that I don't like them hitting Donald Trump. That's not it. The Trump-Russia stuff tries to delegitimize Donald Trump's win. And in delegitimizing Donald Trump's win, to try to some way add a little bit more credibility to this idea of the status quo and establishment. I don't want any credibility to be added to the establishment. I want them to fail on their own merits, because they did fail on their own merits. They ran the most status quo candidate in the history of candidates, and she failed miserably. Call it what it is. The public didn't want it. The public rejected it. You had some people who were so distraught they could not even put a vote on the ballot for the president. All the way down the ballot, left the president blank. They couldn't bring themselves to vote for either person. They were distraught. They ran out with their hair on fire, screaming. Look, the point I'm trying to make here is this isn't working. And I am okay with Trump being hit. Hit him as hard as you want. I just don't want him hit on this particular thing. This is sleazy, and this is problematic from the standpoint of positioning us in a certain hysteria that A, will be antagonistic to get anything done from a populist position, because the public country, takes a war footing and gets his eye off of one particular topic and moves on to another. But B, I don't like war. And I don't want them delegitimizing this thing of how the guy won, because it also delegitimizes to some degree the left. The left is making this argument that status quo doesn't work and status quo is inadequate to deal with the issues that are affecting us today. That's the argument of the left. And if status quo can say, well, wait a minute, we didn't lose fairly. They cheated us. It was a foreign government. It was Vladimir Putin. It was Russia. Russia did it. They had a time machine or something. They did it, though. We know they did it. They can teleport. They did it. Russian hackers. Then somehow you add a little bit more legitimacy to the status quo. It didn't lose fairly. It lost because of some intervention or something. I can, in my head, keep this thing that status quo is perfectly okay. Hillary Clinton was a perfectly adequate candidate, and we can run the next status quo candidate against Donald Trump. I don't want that. I don't want that. This is where you guys are. Just know. This is where you guys are right now. Just giving fair warning. Just giving fair warning. Balthazar, 228. Putin is also a perfect target. He won't refuse powers attributed to him. Go figure, the woman who still used the BlackBerry in 2016 would claim tech sabotage. Democrats want to lose in 2020. Just keep an eye on the quo. I would say status quo. Yeah, they don't want to change. They don't even want to engage why they lost. Look, whether you realize it or not, there are a lot of what I would consider to be useful idiots, and I don't use that term in a horrible way, even though the term I understand is meant in a horrible way. I just mean it takes a lot more words to say what useful idiots gets across. They are running with a particular narrative. They're running with a narrative. Yeah. I don't want status quo. And I suspect that a good reason why a lot of those people lost is because she was pushing status quo and those people want something fundamentally changed. In fact is, you had a president that screamed in every mic you find, hope it change. I'm gonna change it. I'm black. I'm gonna change it. It's gonna be a change up of epic proportions. And those people wept when he got elected. Jesse Jackson was bawling his eyes out. Those people didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get what he said. Now, I understand Obama can take the lawyer route if he was being prosecuted. And he said, look, I said I would give them change, and I did incremental change. If I say there are going to be different M&Ms in this container and there's one green M&M, then I've given you one different M&M. But come on. Certainly, the person who used the term change, used such an explosive, euphoric term of change and hope, knew that those people meant something else. He didn't deliver. He didn't even try to deliver. He had no intention of delivering those things. You need something different. Hillary Clinton coming to that office was not what they wanted. The first guy lied to him. And now you're giving him Hillary Clinton. That's not what they wanted. It's not what they wanted. They're looking for every reason that they could come up with other than she lost on her own merits, which is the point. I'll give Sanders a second vote at the options. Look at the options. Do you think Democrats' dishonesty is backfiring? And Pete D, fuck yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Do you think this channel would exist if it wasn't? Honestly, do you think it would exist? H.A. Goodman, you may, what Tim Black was saying before, but think of all the people that sprung up after that election. Think about it. Think of that, this kind of thing that pissed people off. People don't create channels for shits and giggles. They do it for reasons. If you're talking about political channels, there's something in them that's somewhat combustible that is pissed off, that motivated them to do something, to say something. Cheating a large number of people is a motivation. Yes, that is a magnificent motivation. And all those people who are pissed off and either got on YouTube or told their friends or went in their basement or whatever, and those people started touching other people, and those people started saying things that went counter to the party's narrative, counter to the party itself, and it started to spread. Why is Joe Manchin on TYT? Did you think about that? When has Joe Manchin ever gone on TYT? He's on TYT because he believes that there's a large faction of people that they can no longer reach by normal means of reaching those people. Donna Brazile goes on Tim Black for the exact same reason. There's a faction of people that they can no longer reach through normal means. They understand it. They understand it. So, yes, it's backfired. There's a large number of people that look at them and say, you cheated Sanders. Now, Democrats are looking at this thing of, can they create enough hatred and resentment against Donald Trump where you can get those people to overcome that margin? That thing in them that wants to not vote for them. Whatever those factional people are. Fact is, though, whatever those factional people are, they've lost a faction. They've lost a faction. So, yes, I think it has an impact. It has an impact. They're screaming at Jill Stein, talking about Jill Stein made them lose the election. That caused an impact. That means she lost the election because of a particular faction. So, yeah, it matters. It matters. You can't fuck people over in that way. It matters. And fact is, if those people are being fucked over and those people recognize they're being fucked over and they still vote, then they're part of the problem. They're part of the problem. So, yes. Absolutely yes. Jay Scott, I am definitely voting Trump in 2020 because I hate Rachel Maddow and TYT. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, Jay. Calm down, man. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. I think you're joking on, I think you're riffing on Bob Ramirez. So that's funny. That's so funny. Chuck E. Cheese. HA, I'm not sure you can still clickbait. I think HA thinks Hillary Clinton is going to jail. He's set on that. I get a notification saying Hillary Clinton prosecuted around the corner. He's stuck on that. He may not be wrong on that. Look, we joke HA sometime about the Hillary Clinton thing. He may not be wrong on that. I've been following that case. There may be a grand jury out on Hillary Clinton. He may not be wrong on that. Look, when the Inspector General is looking into that case, I don't know if he's come out with his reporting yet, but that report is supposed to be damning on the investigation to the Hillary Clinton thing. If he comes out with anything other than a damning report on Comey and what took place, Comey is coming out with some kind of town hall. Comey is coming out with town hall for what reason? Why? Why? What is that spook coming out for on the town hall? What on earth is the Inspector General going to say? And why does Comey feel that he needs to give a town hall? This is fucking fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. Fact is, the FBI did something the FBI had no business doing. That's the truth of the matter. When you look at what took place, the same people who are in a position to get Donald Trump, meaning spy on his campaign, were the same people who are in a position to let Hillary Clinton off. And Comey got up there and gave that testimony, and what Comey said was not true. That's what it boils down to. What Comey said was not true. Comey gave this long, winding press conference on why he's letting Hillary Clinton go, and he invented a standard that was not given to other people when the FBI was prosecuted. That's the truth of the matter. If the Inspector General's reports say anything other than what I just paraphrased, then the Inspector General report is bogus. You can look at the law itself. You can look at it. It's in black and white. You can look at the law and compare it to what Comey said in order to get Hillary Clinton off. Not to mention they've locked up people for the exact same thing to Hillary Clinton like a year prior. So that is fascinating. I am totally curious on what all I'm saying is HA may be right. HA may be right. So I'm fascinated by this. HA absolutely may be right. Now, we've been pushing for a special prosecutor, independent investigator, because I don't want a witch hunt. I do not want a witch hunt. I don't want that at all. Jeff Sessions said, we don't need a special prosecutor. He's had a buddy looking into the case and some weird mix of stuff. But no, they may prosecute. Dick Morris, I've said Dick Morris is an affable guy. He's a funny, affable guy. He worked with the Clintons God knows how long. He thinks they have a special jury, a special prosecutor out for, or a grand jury out for. So stay tuned. We don't know. HA is putting that stuff out. We'll see. I'm following it. I'm curious myself. So, all right. So let's see. Reaganian the money. This is off topic, but are you following the Sam Harris everyone misunderstands me wine fest? Still talking about how bell curve science on the IQ and race. I have not followed Sam Harris. No, I haven't. Look, the problem with Sam Harris, so the way that, let me say it this way. At least what I saw something that Sam Harris said. I think he was in an argument with Cenk Uygur. Them two were going back and forth. There's a difference sometimes in philosophy versus politics. Those two do not necessarily meld all of that together, even though they're intimately related to one another. Meaning, oftentimes the politics that you have, like if you actually have a political philosophy, that is actually a political philosophy in the way that you're trying to express it upon the world. Sometimes a philosophical point of view, though, asks certain questions that do not necessarily meld well within the political sphere. Sam Harris would inelegantly meld the two. And so there would be a blurring between the line of politics and a blurring between the line of philosophy. It gets a little weird. If you're talking about nuking a country, and you're like, what the fuck? That guy just said nuking a country. Well, that is within the current political sphere something happening. So your philosophizing about that becomes a bit weird. And if people are going to attack you, they're attacking you on something where, dude, that can politically happen. It didn't sound like you were talking philosophy. It sounded like you were talking politics. Which one is it? Now, that's what it seemed like to me when I looked at it. When I saw them two arguing, I was like, it sounds like they're blurring politics and philosophy, and the argument that Uygur is making about him is somewhat of an argument about politics, and Sam is trying to defend himself from a philosophical standpoint. Those two things are not melding well in the way that he talks about it. That's all. I don't necessarily know everything that Sam Harris has said on that stuff, so I can't necessarily defend him or go after him. I will leave him to whatever his wine fest is about. Dark days. I see Clinton broke the law, fine, put her on trial. It in no way exonerates Trump from anything he may have done. Agreed. Dark days. Agreed. If they win again, look, like I said, I have no love for Trump. I don't like seeing him at the 50%. In fact, I want him torn down. I want the Democratic Party torn down. I want both of these edifices torn down. I want them standing bloody and ashamed with no clothes on, with the American public looking at them, finding them to be defunct. That's what I want. That's what I want. Him standing at 50% kind of goes against that. I don't want that maniac in for another term. By the same token, I don't want another Democrat, a random Democrat in for another term. I want it changed. I don't like seeing that. I have no issue with people going after Trump for the emollients clause. I have no issue with them going after Trump for something that he's doing. Let's say somebody says, okay, these wars are illegal. The president is going into other countries illegally now that we've passed the war for it. Go after him all you want. That's fine. That's fine. But understand, your government runs on corruption. You have to start somewhere. And if you need to start with Clinton, start with Clinton. It doesn't exonerate Trump, nor does it exonerate the next person who's being bribed or something else. This government needs to be changed and cleaned out. And fact is, until you start prosecutions, if you start something, nothing changes. It just stays a status quo. It just goes the way it's always gone. And you have these people being bribed into certain positions and everything else. Yeah, it needs to stop. She should not skate. I keep saying this. If a kid, 18-year-old, stopped in New York with pot, that kid would be going to prison. They're out here literally screaming at the top of their lungs about Russia hacking us and all this other stuff when that woman was walking around with a BlackBerry who anybody could tap into. Come on. Let's be honest and let's be fair. Stop acting like they're different classes. They are different classes and different ways of justice looking at people. And she shouldn't be able to get off. Shouldn't be able to get off. If no one is charged, then there are no consequences and the cycle will continue. Princess Fluffy Cakes. Yes, Princess Fluffy Cakes. Yes. Skeptic77, what do you think about sending military to the wall? War with Mexico? Yeah, the military to the wall is stupid. That's why I added that. Military on the southern border. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He's an idiot. That's ridiculous. I don't like him. I don't like him. By the same token, the stuff that they've been hitting him with is stuff that the previous president was doing. This is my point. Like, there's a certain hypocrisy in the way that the left attacks Trump because their guy was doing stuff just a little bit less. The philosophy of the world to which these guys operate on is fundamentally the same. They just do it in different levels. It's like, how can you complain about Trump when you guys are doing something similar? Nicholas Shadursky, even Bernie himself said that we shouldn't with him even. What? Said we shouldn't with him either. Okay, I don't know what that one is. God no. Don't get me wrong. Russell Brand is a disconnected elite, but at least he tries. What should say he's a disconnected elite? Russell Brand does. I like Russell Brand. I like the guy. Yeah, I like him. Jamal, tweet out before you go live. I don't get your notifications. Propaganda. I like that name. Propaganda. Will do. Will do. I make more of attention to do that. Will do. I love George Bush and David Frum now. Jeremy Chase. Resistance, right? Yeah, these guys are part of the Democratic resistance now. It's so sad. Balthazar. She shouldn't get off and neither should Bill. Oh, the rapist. The rapist. Yeah. Have you seen, I can't think of the woman's name that Bill Clinton raped. She put out an article on this. Oh, man. Yeah, she put out an article. Chuck E. Cheese, don't worry, Bob. I don't bully the alt-right. He's not the alt-right. He's not the alt-right. We disagree with him, but he's not the alt-right. Venom 98216. Russia be scared. Russia be scared. Let's see. Jamal should review. Come on. Jamal should review the video of Hard Bassett and his girlfriend talking about the ethno-state. I don't know what the ethno-state is. Never heard the term. You think Bill Clinton only raped? No, I don't think it was only Bill Clinton. I don't think it was only Bill Clinton. Don't worry, Bob. I don't bully the alt-right. I'm wrong. Check it, she said you're wrong, Jamal. What am I wrong about? What am I wrong about? Bill's rape charges and past statute of limitations. Oh, we need to go the whole Clinton family on their foundation business. Oh, the Clinton Foundation. Yes, yes. So, you know, the funny part is I've always said it's not, yes, the emails, but the emails is not the thing. When you're looking at WikiLeaks and you're looking at all of the money sloshing about the Clinton Foundation. Oh, man. It's like, how do you not, how does, like, this is kind of what I always think about the World Court. How are you a World Court? How are you The Hague? And how does The Hague have legitimacy? Like think of an agency that was created by the government. Let's say it was the agency of making sure dogs didn't use the bathroom in the yard. That was an agency. You want clean parks, clean yards, and everything else. So you have an agency for this that does this. And right beside the agency, there's a yard. And right beside the agency, the yard is just infested with dog excrement. It doesn't, the agency lose a certain amount of legitimacy if that agency is in existence while at the exact same time that thing is taking place. Does that make sense? I'm trying to give an analogy in regards to an agency, something that has a responsibility, a tool of the system, a tool of the country, of the government, of the people, designed to do a particular thing. While at the same token, that thing goes undone, or that thing is taking place and the agency is not doing anything about it. How is The Hague in existence when you have crimes like 1 million people being killed? When you have thousands of civilians being killed by unilateral action of one country, one government. And these people walk. Even the woman that's in the United States, I can't think of her name, Haspel, that they put up to be director of the CIA, she's wanted. She's wanted because she's been a torturer. She tortured multiple people. She's a horrible human being. She's a disgusting human being. They want her. If she leaves this country, she may be prosecuted for war crimes. How do you not go after the person who told her to do those war crimes, though? How is it a disconnected unit? She wasn't a thing unto herself floating in the ether. She was given orders. If you're saying that the person who was giving an order, if the person who did the deed needs to be prosecuted, how can you say that the person who didn't give the order doesn't get prosecuted? I don't understand this chain of command thing that you're allowed, or the person who's giving the orders walks. He's wearing a suit. George Bush has on a suit. Tony Blair has on a suit. And they walk? Where's your legitimacy if these guys can walk? That's what I'm getting at. How does The Hague act in existence when it has no faculty at all to go for actual people who are doing heinous and disgusting things around the globe? How? How? Explain that to me. I don't understand. I fundamentally don't understand. And I understand I moved away from the point. But that always bugs the shit out of me. How does that take place? But I think of the same agency in the United States. If there is nothing to actually affect those things, or if the thing that people put in place to affect those things doesn't do that? How is there not this weird cognitive dissonance of, wait a minute, there's an agency here, there's this thing here that's not being done. Where is the legitimacy of the agency? Doesn't the agency lose some legitimacy at that point? Yeah, I lost my place. God damn it. I get annoyed by that. I get so annoyed by that. Because I always feel like it is such a big deal to kill someone. Like, humanity is a precious fucking thing. I mean, yes, we live in horrendous conditions. And yes, there's a lot of us. But understand the potential there is for a person. And to wipe so many off the map, it makes it seem like it's an inconsequential thing. And I find that to be a mind-blowing exercise. And yet The Hague exists. And it would go after the guy in the Philippines. And it's like, what list is The Hague working on? And who made that list? Somebody needs to get a new list maker. Shit, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost my place. Balthazar, you want to seriously hurt the GOP? Look at what they ban in legislation. Did you ban hashtag municipality and internet and ban hashtag Medicare for all? That's what scares them. You want to seriously hurt the GOP? Look what they want to ban it. Oh, yeah, agreed. Yeah. I know what you mean. You're saying that the GOP is working against these things. Why don't you work for the things that the GOP is working against? Essentially, they're declaring the playing field. Is that the playing field that you want to play in? I think I understand what you're saying, Balthazar. I think I get it. Yeah, god damn it, I lost my place. Oh, I know what we were talking about, the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, I guess my feeling is, you have the State Department, you have an FBI. How on earth do you have access to the files of the Clinton Foundation, the WikiLeaks, and you just go on about your business? Where is the legitimacy of your agency if these files exist that all of these people, thousands and thousands of millions of people have looked at? And yet they haven't made their ways into the hands of the FBI. Are they not curious? Are they not curious? There are crimes in these documents. So, yeah, I agree with you. Dude. I was blown away. I'm sorry. I got caught up into this thing and really bothered by this thing that Tony Blair and George Bush continue to walk the face of the earth and are not sitting in or under some prison somewhere. And The Hague also still exists. It's still a thing. Should be having Nuremberg trials. Yeah, James, I post flattering pictures when I think the person is getting good news. I post negative pictures when I think the person is not. I've taken up a news thing on that one. So this, Donald Trump is sitting pretty with a 50% poll rating, at least from a conservative site. And so, yeah, I give him a good picture since he's sitting pretty with a good picture. Nicholas Chudowski, Jamal Thomas, who do you watch or follow, or follow that isn't in your sandbox? That's a good question. So, I have a bunch of conservatives that send me information. And usually it's information that follows in line with, I guess, stuff that where we intersect, if that makes sense. So, there will be stuff sometimes that will be on war. There will be stuff, but they're not people per se, if that makes sense. I guess Lionel Nation, every so often I will see he's not in my sandbox. Hard Bastard, he's not in my sandbox. I mean, from a lefty media standpoint, I guess you can make an argument. Everybody, to some degree, is a sandbox, a human race. Hard Bastard, I follow. Lionel Nation, I follow. RT is not really a sandbox. I can't really count that anything, but I like their stuff every so often. If you're looking for anti-imperialist stuff, RT is probably going to be your stuff. That's all that's coming to mind, at least right away. Wall Street Journal, not in my sandbox. New York Times, Washington Post, of course. But those are just media things. I think you might actually, you're talking about figures, people. Yeah, that's all that's coming to mind at this point. No claims were ever refuted from email century. No, nothing. Everything WikiLeaks has put out has been true. So, yeah. Breaking. Trump says he planned to order military to guard the border. Yeah, I showed that one. It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Alright, so I'm going to end this. So yeah, those are my struggles. Those are my conflicts. This conflict of, look, just be honest and straightforward and tell the truth. And giving you stories. And this other conflict of, Yes, I also want these two to rip their eyes out because I want something better. And hopefully the American people at some point will see it, that they're being had. Juxtaposed against Donald Trump being at a 50% approval rating, or even if you go by CNN's 42%. Abandon ship. What you guys are doing is not working. I will leave it at that. Let me make sure I caught everyone. Balthazar, it was all Balthazar. Balthazar, thank you very much, dude. I appreciate it. So, I will end it here. Alright, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. Thanks, everyone.